To quote one of my favorite musicals, Hamilton, I want to be in the room where it happens. And that's exactly what happened for me recently when I was invited to attend the Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year Town Hall in Washington, D.C. To receive an invite, you have to be named as a base winner of the Military Spouse of the Year program. And that's what happened for me this year, thanks to your support and the work we are doing with this podcast to change the way that military spouses look at life. So I sat down to reflect on my experience with this program, and I decided to record a bonus episode for you because there are so many military spouses out there doing amazing things. Spouses that have been recognized by this program, spouses that have not yet been recognized by this program, and spouses who have a dream, who want to do amazing things, but aren't sure how to make it a reality. So I decided, let's have a conversation about some of my biggest takeaways from this event that I think are really going to help you in your journey to live as a military spouse with more meaning and less overwhelm. You, my friend, were made for more. More than the managing of schedules, keeping up with kiddos, and holding down the home front. Welcome to the MilSpouse Mastermind Show, the podcast that empowers you to get unstuck and craft a life with more meaning and less overwhelm. I'm your host, Christine, seasoned military spouse, mom of 3, and your guide to designing a life you love and growing a purpose-fueled business as a military spouse. I believe you have something valuable to offer, and when you pursue the things that light your heart on fire, you trade frustration for fulfillment and isolation for a life of impact. It's time to discover who you are meant to be, because together we can change the world. You are more than a milspouse, but without a sense of purpose in life, you will feel frustrated, stuck, and unfulfilled. But what is purpose? How do you find your purpose? And how do you go about crafting a life with purpose as a military spouse? These are all important questions because I know how easy it is to feel lost, to feel like you've placed your dreams, your passions, your goals on the back burner, and now you aren't sure who you are and what you have to offer or how to live with purpose as a military spouse. And that's why I created a free clarity workshop for you. If you are in this place where you feel confused, where you feel unsure, where you feel like you don't know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, this workshop is for you. In this workshop, you're going to learn practical exercises to help you find your own identity and your sense of purpose outside of being a military spouse. Imagine knowing what it is exactly that you are supposed to do. Imagine knowing what it is that lights you up and how to start crafting a life with purpose today. It all starts by going and watching the MilSpouse Clarity Workshop. You can access it by going to milspousemastermind.com/workshop and start your path to purpose today. Okay, so I recently had the opportunity to attend the Military Spouse of the Year Town Hall in Washington, D.C. If you recall, I was nominated back in January or February, and thanks to your support, I won the title of the 2023 Armed Forces Insurance Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam Military Spouse of the Year. Yes, that is absolutely a mouthful. But because I won at the base level, I was invited to attend this town hall, and thanks to my very supportive husband, I was able to make it happen, to work out the childcare arrangements and be able to go. And it was truly an incredible experience to get to connect with all of these other amazing military spouse change makers. I competed in the Military Entrepreneur Challenge, which is sponsored by Second Service Foundation. MilSpouse Mastermind was named a semi-finalist in the competition, which basically means I had the chance to pitch to a panel of judges and get some feedback and speed coaching on ways that we can grow this organization and this community. We also got to hear from some incredible speakers, and I think the biggest part of this event for me was getting to network with other military spouses who are doing some truly incredible work and advocating for military families and for our military spouse community. So as I sat down to reflect on my experience, first of all, I just want to say thank you to my podcast community for voting for me, for believing in the importance of this mission, and believing that military spouses should be equipped and empowered to get unstuck and live with purpose and meaning. And the second thing I want to say is, coming back from this experience and reflecting on it, I sat down to say, okay, what takeaways can I have that are going to help you thrive as a military spouse? And so let's have a conversation about a couple of my big takeaways that I think are going to help you in your journey to live with more meaning and less overwhelm. And the big takeaway that I want us to, that kind of sets the foundation for what we're going to talk about today, is that there is just something that happens when you get in a room with others who are focused on setting goals and making things happen. When you get in the room with other people who are driven, who are doing incredible things, there's a different energy to it. And I thought about this quote, and I had to go look up who originally said the quote, but I think it was Jim Rohn, who was a big motivational personal development speaker. And he said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, you may or may not have heard this quote before, but we think about the people that surround us and the ways that what they are doing impact how we show up for our lives. And as military spouses, if we move around a lot, we're constantly, trying to find new people to be around, to develop community. And it is hard, let's be honest, when we are trying to go after a goal or after a dream or do something, and at the same time, we're just trying to make friends and we just don't want to be lonely. But the truth is, if we aren't intentional about the people that we spend our time with, then we're not going to continue to grow and to continue to do the things we want to do, the things on our heart, because it's so easy to stay complacent when those around us are complacent. But when we get around people who are achieving goals, who are going after something, it's a different energy. I felt this last month when I ran my first half marathon, and just being surrounded by all of these people who are going after 13.1 miles, who are running something that not everyone is going to do. This is something that you have to, or most people have to intentionally train for. That your average person is not just going to go outside and go run 13.1 miles. But you have all of these people in one place that are going after the same goal, and it is inspiring, it is motivating, it is encouraging when you get around people who are also going after a similar goal or a big goal. And I think for so many military spouses, it's hard to feel that energy because number one, we just have a lot of stuff on our plate. We have a lot of added stress, overwhelm, things that get dumped on us. And there are seasons where we are going to struggle and to feel like there's just too much on our plate. But then I really started digging into this idea of if this energy, if being around other people who are achieving goals is so important, how do we go about building that energy, developing that community of people who are chasing their dreams and goals. And I say this because, and I want to be careful how I say this, because it is one thing to be a part of this amazing military spouse community and to have people tell you, you are not alone in experiencing the struggles of military life. We face this. It's hard. Sometimes it sucks. And it is incredibly powerful to have a supportive community to come around you and say, you're not alone. I will sit with you in the hard. We can whine and complain and do this together. And there is something powerful about having others to surround you and sit with you in the hard. But it is easy to get sucked into a negative mindset as well, to just say, hey, this is hard, this sucks, and the end. And we also need people around us who will help us step out of that feeling, to say, yes, it is hard, but also I can make the most of what I have. We need people that tell us, you are made for more. You are capable of achieving great things. You have something that the world needs. You are not just a victim of your circumstances, but you are an agent for change. You can be empowered to improve, to make the most of what you have, and to truly live a life of impact as a military spouse. And sometimes it's hard for us to find those people in our lives because here we are as military spouses, we're moving to a place where we don't necessarily have that support structure. We feel lonely and we desperately are looking for community and connection. And oftentimes we're willing to take that in any form that we can find because we just want to be connected to others. We were built for community and for connection, and we just need people in our lives to be there, to have somebody that we can call a neighbor, a friend, someone that is physically located in the same place that you can call when your spouse is gone and the ish, if you will, hits the fan. But here's the problem. If those around you are sitting there just talking about what's wrong with military life, that energy is going to rub off on you. If everyone around you is sitting there saying, I can't go after my goals, I can't achieve the things that I want to achieve, I feel stuck, I'm just existing, then that's what you are surrounding yourself with, and that is going to rub off on you as well. So we have these three fundamental needs. We have the need, the desire to live with purpose, to go after a dream, to start the business, to be intentional with how we spend our time and the ways that we can make an impact in the lives of others. We have this desire for connection and community, a need really to be in connection and community with others. And then we have the very real need to take care of ourselves. And we can get in this place where we want to do big things, but our body is already overwhelmed and tired and exhausted from all of the stress of military life, from moving and all of these things. And so we're trying to figure out, how do I prioritize taking care of my body? How do I prioritize wanting to find connection and community and to invest in those physically around me? And then I want to go out and pursue my purpose. And sometimes these things can feel like they're in competition with one another. And so I get in this room at this event with so many other amazing military spouse change makers. And it really led me to think about the question, how do we do this better. Because yes, absolutely, getting to go to a conference with all of these people, to be surrounded in this kind of community and atmosphere is encouraging. It's empowering. It makes you want to go out and do more and be more and become the person that you are meant to be. But that's not really the norm. And for most of us, traveling is difficult. Trying to figure out what are you going to do with your kids, the cost of travel, the logistics of everything. It's just not something that's going to happen on a regular basis, right? And so what do we do with this? How can we take the energy and excitement and make it and infuse it into our everyday lives? And so as I was sitting with this question of how do we do this better? I really want to say 3 things that I'm thinking about as I am processing this experience that I had. And I hope you will find encouragement in these 3 things, because the first thing I want to say is that we have to accept the fact that this is complicated. There are no simple answers when it comes to living a life with purpose as a military spouse, because there are so many people doing amazing things. And yet, one of the judges that was part of the Entrepreneur Challenge, he got up and said, these women would be running, and I should say, because all of the semifinalists for this were women, not to discount male military spouses, but all of the semifinalists were females. And this judge gets up and he says, these women would be running Fortune 500 companies if they were not military spouses. And that's just a reality of the life that we live, that being a military spouse does involve sacrifice. And as much as we would like simple and easy solutions that allow us to do all of these things well, there's no easy solution. And so if we can just start by saying, this is complicated, and that's just part of the nature of this lifestyle. But once we can accept that fact, then we can move forward. And that leads me to my second point, which is making the most of where we are right now. You don't have to be in a specific season of life. You don't have to be in a specific location or be recognized as a winner or have somebody acknowledge what you're doing to be able to get clarity around your purpose, your uniqueness, to prioritize your self-care and look at how you can structure your life to be a blessing to others right where you are today. All of those things you can do right where you are right now. And so if you are waiting for some future season, if you are waiting for the right opportunity, if you are waiting to start living your life, you can start living and making the most of where you are right now, today. You have something to offer the world, and it doesn't have to be something major, but it just comes when you choose to live with intentionality, when you choose to get clarity around what your purpose is and how you can tap into using your uniqueness to serve others. And that is where true fulfillment is found. And then the third piece of this puzzle, this takeaway, is just opening up a dialogue about how do we surround ourselves with others who are chasing dreams, who are making the most of the time that they have. When we are around others that are going after big goals, who are being change makers, it changes us. So let's have a dialogue about how we can do this better. Because yes, we absolutely need to have community where we are at. But sometimes it is so easy to get sucked into a community that isn't actually serving us and helping fuel us and push us towards who we're meant to be. If you are currently a stay-at-home parent, if you work remotely and you're not working with a team a lot, or if you're in a company or in a position that doesn't really push you, that keeps you feeling stuck, it's easy to stay there and to not have those voices speaking life into you. And so honestly, this was a driving factor of when I created the podcast. I wanted it to be more than just a podcast. I wanted this to be a community. And that's why I created the Facebook group, so that we have a platform to equip and empower and encourage each other and help network and connect with each other so that we can all push each other forward. Because what I absolutely want for you and for me and for all of us is to feel like we are surrounded by a community that encourages us to show up as the fullest version of ourselves, that reminds us that we are capable of great things. Because it's one thing for me to get on the podcast and tell you that, but it's another thing to be in actual dialogue and having conversation and feel like we are connected and that there are people cheering you on. So here is my big ask as we wrap up the show today. If you have been a part of this community for a while, and by a while, I mean if you've listened to a few episodes of the show, then I want to hear from you about how we can do this better. I want you to jump inside of our Facebook group and have a conversation about this, or send me a DM on Instagram at MilSpouseMastermind, or just email me hello@milSpouseMastermind.com. But I want to hear from you about ways, the ideas that you have on how we can continue to move forward together to build this into an even better community, that we empower all military spouses to live with more meaning and less overwhelm, how we can encourage each other and build that network and those connections, because that is where real change happens. That is when we feel inspired to do more, to be more, to live into our full potential. So that is what I have for you today. And I seriously mean it when I say, let's start a dialogue. Let's have a conversation. Please talk to me, talk with each other, and let's talk about how we can continue to equip and empower all military spouses to live lives with more meaning and less overwhelm in their everyday life. All right, friends, I will see you back here. Until next time, may you live filled, fueled, and full of joy. Hey friend, before you go, the MilSpouse Mastermind community is here to help you thrive as a military spouse. Figure out what lights your heart on fire and equip you to create a life of impact. You can have an incredible impact simply by heading over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. And if today's episode was meaningful to you, I know it will be for others too. Spread the word by taking a screenshot of this episode and share it to your stories so we can continue to reach more people, change more lives, and shift the way that military spouses look at life. Because we are better together, and together we can change the world. Let's do it.